In this early childhood realm, we're not a systemular just in search and finding childcare for parents. It's also, unfortunately, we're a systemular in most areas where still it's the case where in the talent realm for early childhood educators, first of all, their wages are terrible. They make 13, 14 an hour if they're lucky, with no benefits. And these are the people doing the brain development work, right? So, okay. But if you get your early childhood certificate and then you say, that was a good experience, I'd like to go get my associates. You oftentimes need to retake up to 40% of your classes because they don't recognize what you got earlier. And then if you go, okay, cool, that associate, I did it, you got to pay for them again, do them again, though you already did them. And then if you got your associates and want to get your 4-year, happens again. You get a bunch because a lot of the courses are not recognized. They're not appropriately stackable. So in that arena, we have to work on articulation agreements between institutes of higher ed. And so now we gratefully, with great support, we've got somebody whose job is just the early childhood talent ecosystem. How do we help build systems where somebody can say, I'd like to make a career. How do I do that? What are my pathways? Can you make it so I can see it? How do I pay for it? If I pay $2,000 for the next certification, but then I only make $1 more an hour, am I going to make my money back in a year? I don't think so. So how do we have it make sense financially? But all of that is system development. Again, we've got the same issue in data. Right now, we have data that, in the K-12 realm, data for everything, tons of data. They're obligated to do it in the public school system anyway. So you can see what's going on. You can figure out where is it working well? What are the bright spots? Where is it broken? Where are the gaps? You can see tons of stuff. You could break it down by sub-pops or years, or because early childhood is governed by, depending on how you count, 4 or 5 different state agencies. It makes data very complicated. They've got data housed over there. Some is over there. Some is over there. Some is over there. Some might be in the search tool. Some is in pre-K for SA. Some is in the great work, in what they're developing. Some is in the work that United Way does with families. How do we get all that data together, or Family Service Association? How do we get all that data together so that we can query the data about a question that requires data from 2 sources, which right now you can't do, or 3 sources. So we have to build a data sharing platform, which we are developing so that we can even see our own ecosystem, right? And know, where is it working? I had a weird conversation, my background with where I used to work in charters, and I was got called a disruptor a fair amount. Sometimes, derisively, sometimes helpfully. They were like, so are you going to go into early childhood and be a disruptor? And I was like, no, because no one would know anyway, because we don't have a way to measure when you're outperforming. We don't have a way of measuring to see anything. We can't do that. We have to build systems before we can go and prove that there's another way or a better way or whatever. I mean, we do have some measures for that, but nothing like we have in K-12. And so we have this systems opportunity in search, but we also have it in talent development, and we also have it in data. And each of these aspects of early childhood education, that for people to be able to do their best work, for a center to say, I'm set up for success. Do I have the talent pipeline available to me? Do I have a way to pay for that talent? Do I have access to data to support my work? Have we done the market making so that families can see me and choose me so I can fill my vacancies? And when I do, I can do great brain development. But how do we get to that? And so anyway, this has turned into a kind of a fairly expansive systems development project that I think none of us quite understood how much of this was systems building when we began.
Well, it's part of the innovation cycle. I mean,
it is.
When you have a vision, you have this great idea, It's like, oh, I'm jazzed about it. This is going to be great. This is going to be wonderful. And then, oh, yeah, this is going to, oh, you're bringing people on and you're happy about it. And then, oh, we got to do that. We got to,
Yeah.
oh, it's going to take, oh, shit. We got to get government involved. Oh, wow, we're screwed. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, well, especially eligibility programs. They're, a systemular, well, still in so many respects. And then you get into this weird valley despair
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
innovation cycle. And I know with your disruptive efforts and so forth, that valley of despair is where people turn back and they
Mhm.
stop and they give up. And if you
Yeah.
can get through that valley of despair, realize the learnings and challenges of it, oh my gosh, then you figure out, oh, well, I'm resourceful, I'm resilient. I've got people around me, we can figure this out. Oh, we're figuring it out. It's, oh, no. And then you get to go through the next one. I'm curious as to what the next thing will be.
I hadn't quite thought about it in that way. I think that there are cycles to system building, system development, system frustration. And I hadn't quite thought about it that way, but as we're building there's been other work related to how to help coach centers to get them up to quality that our partners have been doing amazing work on. The hope is that as all these systems are progressing across the board, that they're going to hit those dips at different times, God willing, right? And they all hit them all at the same time. We're like, oh man, this is rough. But if they hit them at different time, but you go, look, there's enough momentum happening in these other places, we can weather this one and get to the, because we're also making good work on articulation agreements or coaching. I do flag one piece of work that our partners built and have done a remarkable work, which was back when Early Matters first launched. There are about 700 early childhood centers in San Antonio. Half of them are willing to accept the workforce subsidy that they provide so low-income families can get access to childcare so that they can go to work, right? Because otherwise they can't afford to work. And so that subsidy benefits about 9,000 kids a day. But there are also probably often 8,000 to 9,000 kids on the waiting list for that subsidy, just because there just isn't enough. We, as a society, haven't put in more. And so of those 350 centers that accept the subsidy, when this work first began, the percentage of those that were quality rated according to the Texas Rising Stars state quality rating system was in the teens. Depending on which year you picked, it was 13% or 19% of them were quality rated. The United Way and Region 20 and Workforce Solutions Alamo, with a lot of the leadership of Liza Gomez and a number of others, took some big steps to say, look, can we align our coaching so that people aren't getting three different coaches, but they're speaking the same language, that they can begin here. Maybe they do an intake. They say, okay, you need to begin with this kind of coach, but then there's handoffs that are thoughtful and appropriate and smooth and the right timing so that the centers can go from being licensed only, not quality rated, to going through the climb. And can we bring about policy change that drives the growth in quality? And can we provide the resources necessary through childcare quality dollars or whatever? And then at the same time, Pre-K for SA is doing massive amounts of coaching of centers. Yes, certainly they run centers, but they support 100 other childcare providers around the community. But because of all that work in what's called the Alamo Quality Pathway, and with the work of Pre-K for SA and their shared services approach, that number as of October was moved from being in the teens to now being in the 80s. And when we pull the data for the end of the calendar year, we think it'll be over in the 90s. But we want to celebrate the fact that this is some of the systems development and systems change work that United Way, Workforce Solutions Alamo, Region 20, Pre-K for SA have been driving on and creating this completely different outcome and reality that our kids thousands, tens of thousands of kids across the city are experiencing a higher level of brain development work and care than we had before. And so to say, but is it working? Yes, they have done amazing work that we are massively grateful for. And so how do we build on the success of that system development? And how do we keep going following James Clear's? If you've got a system, how do you stack habits or stack systems?
Exactly.
How do you do that? And so how do our systems not all dip at the same time when we're going through change, but we've got some that have been on the climb through some of our lead partners. It's pretty remarkable.